I'm Mitchell Englander, Chairman of the Committee. Today is Tuesday, September 20th. We have a quorum. I want to thank Council Members O'Farrell and Bonnet for being here as well. Apologize for the late start. In almost, I think, 2 hours to get here this morning. Not too bad from the Valley. In any event, with that, we'll go ahead and jump right in. If you are here from the public and wish to speak, we're going to open up submission for all cards on any items, including general public comment. Is there anybody here that has not filled out a card that wishes to speak on any of the items? Okay, so everybody's got their cards in, so we'll go ahead and close submission of cards at this time. So any cards that are in are considered in, and the ones that are in I already have on my desk, so there are no other cards. All right. So with that, before we get started, we've got one of our speakers that typically comes to almost every council meeting and every committee meeting and fills out a card on virtually every item. So we'll take him first. Mr. Eric Previn on items 1, 4, 6. So 3 minutes on those total, and then 1 minute for general public comment afterwards. And stick to the items, please. Items 1 minute on each, 1, 4, 6, and 1 minute on general public comment for issues pertaining specifically to this committee. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Council, I guess Public Safety Chair Englander. It's Eric Previn, and I don't attend all of the meetings of the City Council committees, obviously.
Stick to the agenda items, not editorializing. Otherwise, you're off topic and you're going to be asked to leave, as you're often told on every time you fill out the cards.
This morning I wrote in City Watch LA about tasers, and that's why I wanted to come to the Public Safety Commission to make clear my displeasure about the perception that these tools...
Item 1, 4, and 6. You're on item 1, sir. Item
Sorry.
1 is on, and this is the last time I'm telling you the rules. Shane Goldsmith. So you're on item 1, sir. Last time I'm going to tell you the rules. You're told every single time.
Sir, you're being it's very confusing. But Shane Goldsmith, I know, not personally certainly, but is a name in city government. She's a good one, as what everybody has reported, and obviously has worked with the mayor over time, and I think is a good choice for the commission. I wanted to bring to her attention some of the things that I've discovered as a local government watchdog that I thought would be important for the public to know. I never go to the police commission meetings, but I do attend some city council meetings and, of course, the county board of supervisors, and I do have a good feeling for the street regarding public safety in our Los Angeles. So welcome her to that commission. I'm sure she'll be a good choice. I hope she'll be able to remain independent where necessary. And I'll briefly comment on item number 4, which is the Homeland Security thing. I had a conversation the other day with somebody about the Department of Homeland. Actually, it wasn't a conversation. It was on 60 Minutes. The guys who are running for on the very unlikely non-Republican or Democrat ticket, Mr. Johnson and Mr. Weld, have talked about actually potentially closing down Homeland Security because they feel that the FBI does an adequate job, and that, of course, we all are mindful of and cautious about protecting against terrorism, against so many threats that we now face on a regular basis. That I thought was a very interesting idea, and I am also concerned about how sometimes in the grappling and grasping to get federal funding, we do things that don't necessarily land directly in the public's interest. Like, for example, bulking up on some military equipment. Historically, LASD and LAPD will try to make a move on certain pieces of equipment that it may or may not ultimately inure to the public's interest at all. So that's why I brought that one up. On item number 6, just very quickly, I will blow my stack about the concept of Palantir, which is a software outfit. Mr. Tripp, I'm sure you're familiar with this group, that the county slapped them on the wrist, the city has concerned. Chief Beck participated in a virtual commercial with this group, and this group is involved in who knows what. They're very good at the internet and at scoping folks out, and obviously surveillance is important, but there's that line that I think people talk about regularly, which is the privacy versus, and so there's a lot of money going. In this particular item, if I've got it right, it's about 600,
Okay, so you have 1 minute on general public comment for issues pertaining to this committee specifically.
Sure. So, as I said, I wrote this morning an article in City Watch LA expressing concern about how during the body cam deal that the city engaged in over the summer was embedded 4,400 tasers in the truck up from Arizona. So you remember you went down there to get some campaign donations from Taser International. I have looked really closely at tasers over a number of years. Ever since the Dupree case at LA County, O'Farrell, you may not know, guy tased off a bunk in jail, broke his back, $4.25 million, very bad. And, you know, there are lots of stories that have been not suppressed but not told. And when you really lay out what is the appropriate tool for LAPD, given our 50,000 homeless and all the struggles that we're facing, to add 4,400 tasers without a real discussion is crazy. In New York, they added 20 for a Rikers Island scenario, and there was a huge national article. So I'm asking the media to look about why do we need 4,400 of these tools. You could read my article.
Time is up. Thank you very much. All right. Thanks for coming. Once again, I'm sure we'll see you down in council, as we always do. All right. So with that, we'll go ahead and turn our attention back to the work of this committee. On items, I'd like to call for consent, items 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Without objection?
So moved.
Those are approved? That'll be the order? Okay. Next, I'd like to take item 1.
Item number 1 is communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Ms. Shane Goldsmith to the Board of Police Commissioners for the term ending June 30th, 2019.
Okay. Is Ms. Goldsmith here? There you are.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? So if you could, and I've had the opportunity to know you for many years and also sit down with you recently and go through this appointment, just give us sort of an overview on some of the things that you would like to look at and focus on. I mean, one of the things that I had shared with you when we first sat down is that, without question, the number one thing, the most important thing we do in local government here in our communities is public safety. That's absolutely the most critical and important function we have and serve. And with that, we're blessed at the opportunity for a structure of a citizen's oversight of that phenomenal institution and organization known as the Los Angeles Police Department. And with that, by far, the most important, or certainly the top, one of the most important appointments we can make is commissioner to that body. And so with that, if you can just give us your overall perspective and some of the things you'd like to focus on and accomplish moving forward. And good morning. Thank you.
Sure. Good morning. I agree this is an incredibly important function of the city government, an incredibly important opportunity and moment in history where we can build on the tremendous progress that the police department and the city has made since 1992. I remember those days vividly. I think the hardworking and brave men and women in our police force who put their lives on the line every day are as devoted as the rest of us to making this the best police department it can be, to making Los Angeles the safest city it can be. I think the city's already made tremendous progress in terms of the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing, and I look forward to building on that in my role as a commissioner. For me, my priorities are number one, disrupting the school-to-prison pipeline and making sure we're investing in prevention and intervention, community-based services for youth. Number two, building trust between police and community. And I think that requires deep community engagement, accountability, and being willing to build bridges and really understand all points of view and bring all points of view to the table. Number three, reducing violent encounters between police and community. And through efforts already underway in terms of de-escalation and making sure officers have all the support and training and tools that they need to be safe and to be effective. And finally, making sure we're protecting vulnerable communities, people experiencing homelessness, people suffering from mental illness, LGBTQ people, young people, through, I think, again, strategies already underway, targeted, community-based, data-driven strategies like DART, SMART, HOPE, and strategies like that. So those are my kind of top 4 priorities.
And what are you going to do the second week on the committee? I'd like to turn it over to some of my colleagues as well, Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you. So, first of all, Ms. Goldsmith. It feels odd to call you Ms. Goldsmith because we're friends.
Councilmember O'Farrell.
We worked together for so many years.
Yes.
But it was great to work with you, gosh, starting over 10 years ago. And just as a longtime friend and an observer, just knowing sort of the recent history of your profession, your professional life, and that is a real knowledge of what neighborhoods deal with in terms of public safety when you were working for then Councilmember Eric Garcetti, and then now as the Executive Director of Liberty Hill, and then your time with PATH as well. So what I'd like to hear is just how the past 10, 12 years of your professional life has informed your perspective in this new role.
Thank you for asking. Throughout my entire career, I've worked to build bridges and bring people together and understand different points of view. That's what we were able to do in Councilmember Garcetti's office when the council member decided he wanted to reduce graffiti by 50%, which was very audacious, and nobody on staff wanted to touch that one. But I knew that the way to do that was to bring community organizations together with residents, together with the police officers to figure out what strategies would work. I've served on the LASA Commission and the HACLA Commission over the last several years, and at HACLA I got to introduce participatory budgeting in coordination with residents of public housing and the department. At LASA, and also at HACLA I got to see the community services partnership through the police department, which is a tremendous community policing model that's working incredibly well in public housing developments that I'd like to see expanded. At LASA, getting to see through leadership of folks here and throughout the city and county coming together to do massive investments to finally tackle homelessness. So in every case, I've seen the power and magic of bringing people together, doing the hard work of looking across the aisle, looking across difference, and figuring out how to hammer out a solution together.
And lastly, as a commissioner that oversees the police department, how do you see your role in helping in the reduction of crime, because there have been the spikes all over the city, and how with the oversight responsibilities that you have, and then the other side, and that is support on strategies to reduce crime and make in all of our neighborhoods.
Right. That's clearly of vital importance, and I think again, data-driven, targeted strategies are the way to go, and I think what we've seen have been successful in Los Angeles, and I look forward to partnering with you and hearing what you're hearing in your communities and learning with you about what we can do from the police commission standpoint to make Los Angeles the safest city in the nation.
There you go. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks, Ms. Goldsmith, for taking this on and your previous service to our great city. You and I had a great conversation last week, and I appreciate you taking the time. And I feel that you have the skills, the knowledge, and the abilities to serve as our next police commissioner. And in our discussion, I shared the importance of I understand this police commission, the civilian oversight crafts policy for the police department. And I also shared with you some of my frustrations as a street cop and sitting in roll calls and oftentimes scratching my head and embracing some of the policy that came out of the police commission. What are you going to do to connect with the boots on the ground?
Great question. Another thing that's guided my entire career is starting with the people impacted to figure out the solutions, and obviously the folks with the boots on the ground, the ones who are out there on the streets every day, we cannot move forward or figure out what the solutions are without their input and buy-in.
Yeah.
And so I think that's critical, and we'll attend roll calls, and we'll do. I would actually love to know what you all think and what the department thinks about what are the best ways for me to really proactively develop those relationships and understand that perspective so that it can guide me.
I appreciate that, and thanks for that commitment. In addition, I feel that we are a stronger police department than ever. If you looked at the police department 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we've had our fair of some dark history and how the police department ran back then. And if you look at the consent decree and where it took us to a better, stronger police department today, we've come a long way, especially in building partnerships and finding strategies and in problem solving. And if you look at what's happened specifically in my district in Watts with the Community Safety Partnership Program, I feel that, the police department doesn't get its fair share of positive news stories of these great partnerships that we've created over the course of the last several years. Just want to, if you can share with us your strategies on sharing the good things that are happening with the police department.
It's a good question. There's a big landscape out there that decides, what stories get told and how they get told, and the Police Commission maybe has a limited role in that, but I do think that the impact of those programs is deeply felt in these communities, and widely felt. And, we need our police, and Angelinos know that. So I think it's about making sure that the folks who are benefiting from those programs are coming to meetings or participating in this process and are making their voices heard to make sure that broader story is being told. Because the reason that story is important to me is because it's what's going to drive pragmatic solutions to the problems that actually exist.
Very good. Thank you. I wholeheartedly support this nomination and look forward to seeing you in council.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good. Well, I'm obviously going to be enthusiastically supporting this. Ms. Goldsmith is probably one of the best appointments the mayor has made. I've been very happy with a number of his appointments, but this is one that I'm particularly stoked about. I have known you probably nearly as long as Mr. O'Farrell has, about 10 years or so, and as a council deputy and as a civic leader and at Liberty Hill, you've been someone that I admire greatly and consider both a friend and a role model on how to do public service. And I think you'll be a huge asset to the Police Commission. I'm simultaneously lamenting the fact that you won't be on the LASA Commission anymore. Can you do both? And think you'll be wonderful for all the reasons you've outlined and all the things that my colleagues have asked you about. There is one thing I'd ask you to look at and focus on when you're on the commission. I am, maybe more than some of my colleagues, frequently and increasingly frustrated with the department and the way that it does deployment. I think that we are under-policed, and that's not simply a matter of how many cops are on the payroll. It's a matter also of how many cops are on patrol. And I am increasingly concerned that we undervalue patrol and that we move officers off patrol. I'm glad to see we've struck a deal with the Rams, and they'll be paying, and it'll be off-duty and stuff like that. But too often, whether it's what I think were the ill-considered decisions and policies to double the size of Metro and pull officers out of patrol for the community relations division for folks who do social media and stuff, I'm concerned that we're losing officers in our neighborhoods. And from my perspective on the council, it has been difficult to get straight answers from the department about what our patrol figures are, whether it's how close to our actual patrol or deployment plan we actually get on a given day, and often they're far apart, or just getting a sense of, over time, over the past 30 years, I asked this during the budget process this year and still haven't gotten an answer, what percentage of the department was assigned to patrol? And over every 5-year increment, where has that stood? Because my sense is we take a lot of folks out of patrol for various special assignments, which are all very, very vital, but that we don't disband at any point, and we don't reassign them. And I could be entirely wrong, but I've not been given sufficient info from the department to prove me wrong. And I know the evidence I get from my constituents every day is that it just takes too long to get a cop. And that has nothing at all against the folks at Pacific or West LA who do a phenomenal job, but there just aren't enough of them. And I would just ask from your perch on the commission that looking into what's happening with patrol and what's happening with neighborhood policing is a very important thing to look at, because I think a lot of us are hearing the same complaints about lack of neighborhood policing and patrol.
Yeah, thank you. I have heard that from a number of council members and have begun to look at the data and understand the challenges with both the data and the deployment issues, and appreciate you raising that.
And also, given I'm familiar with your fitness regime and your level of fitness, you might also want to look into what the training is in the academy, because you could probably, up the standards a little bit.
You and me together, let's do it.
Yeah, it can happen.
All right. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
All right, yes. I believe it's unanimous. So congratulations, and
Thank you.
we look forward to seeing you in council, I
Yeah,
believe,
thank you for your help with
just
that.
an hour or so. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shane.
Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump real quickly over to item 9. We've got a lot of cards on item 2, which we'll take right afterwards. But item 9, is there somebody from the CAO's office here?
And Councilmember, prior to item number 9, would you like to reconsider items number 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 now that Councilmember Buscaino?
Sure, we'll go ahead and reconsider those items. So those items are up for reconsideration. Okay, and those are all approved as well. So without objection, that'll be the order. Great, thank you very much. For item 9, is there a CAO report on this?
Janice Yu, CAO. Yes, there is a CAO report, and the report should have been handed out to each of the council members.
And, excuse me, if we can ask, I know this room, it's rather loud, so if you have conversations, if you could take your conversations outside, please, because it's hard to hear speakers at the table. The CAO report was, I'm sorry?
The CAO report should have been handed out to each of the council members.
Yes,
When?
The CEO report is on your desk.
It was handed out today?
Yes, it was handed out prior to the meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I saw it on an email this morning as I was walking into the building at 10 after 8. Is there a reason we're not getting reports on time?
Yeah, Councilman, if I could, Ed Rose of the CAO's office. I'm the chief of the public safety group. In this instance, I apologize to the membership this morning. This was inadvertently delayed in getting out from our office. We had workload issues and things of that nature, but again, this is the first time under my watch that this has happened, where we literally walked in with the report, and I promise you it won't happen again. We like to give you folks as much time as possible to go through your reports. I understand that you read these in detail, and you need that time and information so you can process the report. And again, my apologies to you and the committee.
Okay. So, are there any questions, colleagues? I know the reports were just handed out today, so you want us to come back to it and go ahead and go on to item 2? We'll go ahead and come back to it. We'll go on to item 2. We've got a number of cards, and again, I appreciate that, and I do realize this is the first time under your watch. Unfortunately, prior to your watch, it was often, and so thank you for it not being often. And I know we get backlogs sometimes, and it just takes time, but staff often likes to read them as well and flag any notes or questions or comments. We go through our briefings, and so we actually do read them all and look at them and thoroughly enjoy them. And so in advance helps a lot, but we understand. Things do happen sometimes, so I appreciate it. So we'll come back to that item. So we'll go ahead and go on to item 2, called special for cards. We have a number of cards. Council members, these are the reviews of the assessments, including any newly discovered information and evidence. These are for the brush clearance assessment appeals. I want to let the folks know who have filled cards out for item 2 that we have 4 possible actions that this committee can take, and only 4. So I just want to let you know about those 4 items, the 4 things that and possible action items that we can do. This is for, there's been a process leading up until now. This is only for newly discovered or additional evidence that hasn't yet to be presented prior to coming to this committee. So anything that hasn't yet been shared with the departments, particularly the fire department, but this is for any new information that you may have that wasn't presented or shared before. And so that's what this process is for. Based on that new information that hasn't been shared with the department, one of 4 possible action items that we can take is, 1, is we can confirm the assessment. The second thing is we can reduce the amount of the assessment and confirm it as modified, again, only and based on new information presented to this committee that hasn't yet been shared with the fire department. We can decide to hear and decide the case based on the record and only newly discovered or additional evidence offered by the property owner, then confirm the original or modified assessment. Or, and the last option we have is to refer the case back to the hearing officer if the newly discovered or additional evidence is needed before a final decision is made. In other words, they'd like to further review, or we would suggest a review of the information that you have forwarded. The last thing is on that, is I want you to know we take these very, very seriously. Often we've heard everything. If you can imagine, we've heard it all. You're an out-of-town property owner. You never received the information. It was never posted correctly. That you were already in the middle of contracting for somebody to clean up the weeds and or debris, and they just hadn't gotten to it yet. It was the wrong property that was marked. We've heard it all. Fire department has verified this, and it would not be in this committee if they didn't do a great job. There are some exceptions that do come up and new information that's discovered, certainly, and that's why we allow this due process to occur. With that, we also, this committee takes it very seriously. Very seriously in the fact that brush clearance, particularly in these areas, when we have high fire severity zones, winds, a drought, and it's ripe and a recipe for disaster. Often these wildfires not only ruin and destroy properties and vacate communities, but people die. And so with that, we take it very, very seriously. And so we're going to go ahead and open it up for cards, and we'll ask, and we'll do 2 minutes each for this because it is so important. If there's new information, the first one is Barke, Elias, and Karamana. Is that correct? Okay, thank you very much. Great, thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
You can go ahead and start.
Okay, we received a letter regarding the inspection, and they told me that it needs to be corrected. We asked our gardeners, and he did the job. He came back again and did the job. The first one, when we received it for clearance, we did it. The second time, when they told me regarding the correction, and we fixed it. After that, we received a letter that it's not like we didn't do it right. We get over here right now a letter from the gardener that he went twice to the property, and we've been doing this for the last 12 years with the same gardener. We never have a problem whatsoever. My property really clean, and we always do the job right. Go ahead.
I just need to put my input on the thing. Our neighbors have a hell that they just cleaned 10 days ago, and that's what they've been doing the last 4 years. They cleaned like 4 months after us. I thought there might be a mistake. You said people usually bring this to attention, but it's never right. But I think there was a mistake between our law and our neighbor's law, because when we received the non-compliance note, first note, we did the job. We asked the contractor to come and clean it again, but we never received any non-compliance second note. And then we just received the bells that someone showed up when actually I didn't see anybody come through. We live in a gated community. The guard didn't ask for permission for anybody to come into my property, and didn't know about anybody coming and doing any brush cleanup on my hell. I have the letter from my gardener that he did the job twice, and I just feel like there is some mistake somewhere along the way. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Can you walk us through this? It seems to be that property owners suggesting that they actually did the work and that the city did not hire an independent contractor to do it.
Good morning, Inspector Terrace, Los Angeles Fire Department. The appellants never showed up for their brush clearance appeal, so subsequently they lost the appeal. The fire department, per the hearing officer, proved to the hearing officer that we did give them notice, we did clear it, and we did provide photographs at the hearing that the property was in violation, and our contractors provided pictures that the property was cleared by them. The fire department feels that there was no mistake on this property and that the assessment should stand.
Okay, so the fire department went out there to this particular property, took before and after pictures. The landscape, the contractor did the same?
Yes, sir.
And we have those, do you have the photos?
Let me see if I do. This is parcel
53 was page 53. It was parcel number
51.
I think you provided something. Pictures? I think they're in the back, at least I have them.
I don't have them.
This is what you're referring to?
No, we have our packages here, but unfortunately, we didn't know that the appellants were showing up, so we didn't pull this package.
Okay. All right, so I'd like to see the photos on this. Did your landscaper take photos?
I'm sorry?
Did your landscaper, the one that you hired, you said you hired a landscaper, did they take
Yeah,
photos?
there is a letter.
I've got the letter. Do you have photos or any?
No.
He
Other
doesn't
evidence?
take no photo. We've been doing it for the last 12 years. We never have a problem.
And was there a reason that you didn't respond to the original notifications or show up to the appeal?
We didn't get anything.
We didn't get anything.
We called, like, we sent the letters, we sent the appeal, and we were waiting for a response. When
Because
we
they-
didn't hear anything, we called.
They go
And
out-
they said, you had the hearing, you didn't show up. We said,
They go out certified mail, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's,
You-
not, true.
you-
That's not true.
Yes, it is true, sir. They go out certified mail. Whether you didn't get it or not, that's another issue. But they do go out certified mail. That's
actually,
absolutely
we were
very
the
true.
one who called to ask what happened with the appeal that we sent. We called to check what's going on.
We follow.
And you live at this property?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're the resident, sir? Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's hold this in committee,
Oh.
and we'll bring it to the next Public Safety Committee, so we can go ahead and review the photos from the department and the contractor. Well, and if you've got any other evidence besides the letter, but we'd like to review the contractor's before and after photos
Yes, sir.
before making a determination. So we'll go ahead and hold it for that. Okay? Fair enough?
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. The next item, the next one is number 36, Arby Gregorian. Number 36. Morning, how are you?
How are you guys?
Okay, go ahead, yes.
Okay, brush clearance, again, same issue. Property is between Wentworth and Tahunga Canyon Boulevard, which has two, from both sides you can enter. We fenced the property from the front, from the back. My partner lives next door, 10921 Tahunga Canyon. The property has always been clean. It's not a hillside. I have the photos here with me. I don't know who showed up over there.
Can you submit the photos?
Sure. We have it, yes, we have it on the market right now. Landscaping is done. Everything is, there is no way anybody showed up on that property and cleaned up as it states over here because the property is locked. My partner lives next door. He's present with me right now. And if anybody trespassed on that property, they have to cut the lock or basically jump over the fence. So this is not the first time that this happened to us. A few years back, the same thing, but it got resolved at the hearing. We wanted to come over here and basically present our case because this is not right. When you don't inspect the property and you don't do any work, you're not in position to charge people for no reason. That's not right. The property is a flat land. Property is it was under construction. When they're saying that they cleared it, my partner lives next door for 10 years. One of the reasons we bought the property is because it was next door to him and we can monitor it. And there was no brush whatsoever on the property. If there are any photos of that contractor that allegedly walked in and cleared and removed the brush, I would love to see it. Because if we saw on the property somebody breaking in, trust me, either my partner's wife or his mom would have called the cops. Because that property has been chained and locked.
So do we have photos?
Unfortunately, sir, we didn't know that Mr. Gregorian was attending today, so we do not have pictures, no. But we do have them back at the office.
I would love
and
to see
Mr. Gregorian did not attend his appeal when he was awarded the opportunity to come in front of the hearing officer.
Okay. All right. So we'll continue this for committee as well. And if you can, because they don't have the photos, and I don't want to make a ruling and a recommendation to council without looking at the fire department's contractor photos to show the before and after of that they actually, what work they did when the appellant or property owner is actually saying that nobody ever showed up to do anything.
In the future, can you bring pictures with you? Because you just never know what.
No, I would.
I'm speaking,
you.
I'm speaking
Yeah.
to the staff.
Yeah.
Can you bring pictures with you in the future so
We-
that
we
we're not
try-
delaying?
We tried to do that, but if they don't notify Mr. Espinoza, we don't know who's showing up. So.
Yeah, but either way, because you just never know. Instead of delaying our decision today, I hate to do that in the future, so if you can just bring photos with you.
Right.
Well, ma'am, it's a huge file. To bring that many photos is impossible. We have to know
How
the
many?
number.
Oh, there's
Thousands.
there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. But so right now we have how many do we have up today? 85 or so. Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a lot of them. So with that, are they all digital?
It's not that
No.
difficult to print a picture.
They're not digital?
No, they print them out and we put them in an envelope like
the
this
file?
and we file them. But we're in the
Okay.
process of going digital.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So once we go digital, it'll be a lot easier to bring them on an iPad or something like
Correct.
that.
That's, we're in that process right now.
All right, so once we get to that. Okay, understood. What we could do is bring both of these to council with no recommendation from committee. And if you can bring the photos there, we can certainly review them at council, so we don't have to bring them back here. Why don't we go ahead and do that on both the items, and that way we don't have to have you come back 2 more times.
Thank you.
No, the reason I came
so-
here to appeal is because
Yeah.
literally it is not
Right.
physically
No, I understand.
possible for
I understand.
anybody to move.
I don't see any photos of you of that either. I don't see anything that shows it's a gated home. None of your photos show
We
that?
took- because there is no brush there. It's not the gated, it was fenced. I can bring you national rent fence invoices that the property was fenced until recently that they removed because we finished the properties on the market.
Okay.
And I brought you
I
the flyer
understand.
for the open house.
I understand, I see that, but
Okay, they can't trespass.
but I don't see the evidence to show
I
that it
would
was
bring you
fenced.
the evidence when
So
we
why
come
don't you
back.
bring that?
I want to see their photos too. I have the
Okay.
right to see the photos.
So let's do this. We'll bring item 2, we'll move it forth without a recommendation at this point for number 53 and as well as number 36 to council. And that'll be scheduled when? Are these scheduled?
If it's okay with everyone, we can schedule it on Wednesday, September 28th,
Okay.
A week from.
A week, next week.
a week for.
Great, that's perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
should be fine.
Okay, great. Okay.
Same time?
Council, 10 o'clock downstairs.
10 o'clock.
In the
10 o'clock,
chambers.
council chambers.
Will we receive any kind of a letter or anything?
You won't get a letter. We're letting you know
So
now.
is it
It'll be on the agenda. So 10 o'clock,
Number by any chance?
3rd floor, council chambers.
Third
can't miss it.
council chambers.
All right, the next one is Grant, Allen, and Karen. I didn't see you on the list.
Mr. Englander, our accounting department inadvertently sent out letters to people who had a reinspection fee only.
Oh,
And they
okay.
are not, per the fire code, entitled to appeal here, but I'll leave that up to your discretion.
Oh, I see. Okay, so this is really just for the fee, the inspection fee.
Correct.
This isn't for a cleanup.
It's a reinspection fee.
The reinspection fee, because they had to come out and reinspect. I got it. Yeah, that doesn't have an appeal process, but you can go ahead and speak if you'd like.
Well, I'd just like to appeal the reinspection fee for special circumstances.
Do you have, what are the special circumstances?
We got the first request and thought we were in compliance because we just had the trees trimmed. Then we got the second notice and realized they were talking about the palm tree specifically. tried to get hold of the palm tree trimmer who was out of the country. This is the period now from September 24th to October 4th. I wrote the city back saying the guy was not available. It's a very tall tree, and it requires a specialist. The man came October 4th, trimmed the tree. I sent pictures of before and after to the city. But during that time, from September 24th to October 4th, an inspector came, saw we still had not been in compliance, and fined us the $350.
Did you bring any of that information with you?
I'm sorry?
Did you bring any of that information with
Yes.
you? Any proof
Yes.
that you've submitted? And you already submitted that to this body?
Well, I had sent it in, but I'd be happy to.
And let me ask our city attorney, in terms of a reinspection fee, I don't believe we have a process for appeal for reinspection fees.
Not to my knowledge, Councilman. I'm
Okay.
not aware of a process.
And what is the total cost, the reinspection fee cost?
It's $356, and they have the opportunity to do a written appeal, which is in the yellow book that you've been handed, and her appeal is actually in the written, is in the yellow book, the written appeal, but she did not prevail.
I see, but we don't have an appeal process for it.
It's a written appeal, yes.
So she did that.
Yes.
She did that, but it wasn't granted.
Yeah, no, it was not granted, correct.
Right. But then there's no appeal process for that.
Yeah, that's the end. The decision by the Board of Fire Commissioners is final.
I see. Okay. Well, we can look into, the process in terms of changing it or not, but right now that doesn't exist to have an appeal process to this body. So we'll look into that, but for your case, unfortunately, we don't have the authority under this body for reinspection fees. So we'll go ahead and note that, but we'll look into it, and if we can get a report back just to my office as the chair of the committee on that particular process, because that hasn't come before us as somebody appealing or attempting to appeal reinspection fees. So we'll go ahead and look into that for future.
Okay, do I have to submit anything?
No. But the appeal, your appeal was denied.
Correct.
By the
That's why I
board.
thought I'd come
Yeah,
to
we
you.
don't have a process for that before this body. That's
And
why
no
you
second chances?
weren't on the agenda for that.
Okay.
So,
So
okay.
what's my next step? What should I do?
There isn't one for you, unfortunately, because there isn't a process for that. And so it's outlined in the administrative code, the Division of Administration. The board shall determine whether to modify or rescind the fees or to impose and require the owner to pay the fees. The determination shall be based on evidence in the record of any error on the part of the fire department or extreme hardship on the part of the property owner. A determination by the board shall be final. So this is actually section, for those who would like to know, is section 104.12.1.13, procedures for appeals to the Board of Fire Commissioners. And that is on the noncompliance fee that's been imposed by the fire department and the Board of Fire Commissioners. So under this particular, under an inspection or reinspection, this body does not have that authority to grant or deny. And so with that, the fee stands, and we don't have that ability. But okay, so we'll look into it for future ones, though. But thank you very much. Thanks for explaining this as well. Okay, so the next one will be Ethan Summers and Michelle Yu. It's item 57.
Yes, hi. Basically, we keep getting cited that we're not in compliance, and I think I finally figured out why. I went on the website, and I'll show you if you don't mind. They've got the correct parcel circled on the Los Angeles Fire Department website, but when you pull up the pictures, when you pull up these pictures here, this is not my, you have it listed as my property. This is not my property. This is the next door. I'm 9328, and this is 9324. This is a very big hillside. The only time that this has ever been cleaned is when we got cited, and they came out and cleaned my property, which had already been cleaned once, and then they cleaned the next door neighbor. But I've got a survey of my property. I've got the property lines. We had a meeting before, and I went over this, and I emailed a photograph showing this is a sign that's on my neighbor's property. This is a picture of their workers that they came out, and they're clearly working beyond the sign on my neighbor's property. And I tried to explain that to them. They worked on the neighbor's property. They came and worked on my property. They worked on the neighbor's property across on the other side. And I'm getting charged for all this. I keep clearing my property, and they keep coming out and telling me I'm not in compliance, but they keep looking at the wrong property, and it's very...
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, so did you attend the appeal?
Yeah, I did. And
Okay.
I tried to tell them the same thing there, but I didn't have the website photos to prove that they're actually looking at the wrong property.
Got it.
If you read page 57 of the Blue Book, the owners claim pictures not their property. Fire department inspector reviewed all photos, and especially their property, clearing photos, those at the bottom of the hill. Photos identify their house and its roof curve.
Well, I got the photos of my house.
Oh, sure,
and-
sir. We gave you your time, so I'm going to, please.
And we
I
do
just wanna hear-
have photos that the contractor took, as well as the inspector took. We'd like to.
Okay, yeah, please. And have you seen those photos that they're submitting?
Yeah, I have, and that's what I referenced in my email as well.
No, but those photos are you're stating that those are not your property?
I'm saying that they worked on everybody's property. They worked on mine and next door neighbor.
Okay, I understand that. But they worked on yours as well?
They worked on mine as well.
And these photos are on your property?
Some of them are mine.
Some of them are yours?
Next door.
Okay. And
But they're charging me for like $2,190 for everything.
no, they're not. They're charging you $1,200, but you had an administrative fee that's another $990 because you didn't clear it, and they came out and cleared it, sir.
But I did. They keep looking at the wrong, they come out and say it's not clear,
Sir,
but they're looking at
They just asked if these were your
I know.
property, and you said some of them are.
Can you give him this?
Did you also, let me ask you this, did you also, to the fire department, did we also go after the next door neighbor as well?
No, as
Sir.
far as I know.
I'm
sorry.
Please,
sorry.
I'm talking.
I'd have to look into that, sir, but we just have this record in front of us. But if there was a hazard on the other property, we would have abated that also.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to do this. We're going to go ahead and, unless there's questions from my colleagues? Okay. Well, my recommendation would be to move this on to the council, except for, and that'll be next week on Wednesday as well, like the fire department, to come back and show that they were also billing the other, and they had split the cost or whatever proportionately to the other property owner as well. And if that's the case, we're going to uphold the total assessment to show that they did. If they didn't, then we'll have to perhaps look at other reasons why, or if there's an error, and that'll vote in your
Well, my main
your
concern
argument.
is that it
So-
keeps happening.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move this on to council for next Wednesday. Ask the fire department to come back and look at the next door property as well to see if that was the case, if you went after their cost portion of it, and if it was split correctly based on survey information.
If I may add that even if the contractors were going over a few feet onto the neighbor's
Sure.
property, he wasn't charged extra for doing the work that the contractor.
Right. So if you can provide that information when you come back.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
but
Thank
my
you.
whole-
Okay, sir. And we'll go ahead. We've made the decision. And we'll go ahead, move it on to next council on, to the full council on Wednesday, and we'll look into all that information.
So, I
So we can make an informed, if you'd like to come back, we'll make the decision whether you're here or not, but it'll be on Wednesday. So.
Do you want to keep
Totally
it
up to you.
this?
We'd like to keep them all, in
Okay,
fact, if we
that's
could.
great. Keep them all.
Actually like to keep them all. If you can give them to the fire department, that'd be great. Because that'll help. And I appreciate you being here and your patience this morning. So we'll work through this. Okay. So the next item is Yoram Yehuda, item number 23. Page 23, the blue book.
Good morning.
Morning.
The issue that we have is it's not about arguing if it was clear or not clear. It just, we can't be in compliance. It's just impossible. The department performed inspection on October 16, 2014. And then on 12/8/2014, it got cleared by the fire department. And ironically, 5 weeks later, we got another notice that the property is not in compliance already, within 5 weeks. And in the same time, we were billed already another $5,000 for the property. And it seems like the department was determined of issuing this assessment. And I just used the record from the department. I prepared picture, and I said, you know what, it's useless. I just left it at home, and I'm just using the department record.
Do you have any of your own photos of this? Any record?
No, I have photos, but I didn't bring them. I didn't see it necessary.
Well, this was your time to bring anything you had. This took a year, sir. Non-compliance issued to you on January 14, 2015.
Yeah, which is 5 weeks after they cleared it. So if they cleared and they charged me $5,000, they cleared it on 12/8/14, and they inspected it 5 weeks later.
The work was completed on February 2nd, 2016.
No, it's all started in 2014. We have to follow the department record. So they invoiced me. I have the invoice. What they did, they issued.
So do you live at this property?
I live next door.
You don't live at this property?
No, it's a vacant lot. It's a vacant lot.
Does the fire department, do you have photos on this as well?
No, sir.
Okay. So it says you have photos on file, so you can bring those to council on Wednesday. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and uphold the recommendation for the total assessment of $4,590 at this committee. We'll move it on to full council for next Wednesday as well, and then if you can bring the photos. So we'll review those photos and make the determination at council whether we're going to call that item special or not. It's already had public process and public hearing. There's no new evidence presented by the property owner in this particular case.
I just have the invoices because I didn't have it at the hearing last time.
Appreciate that.
And actually, when I came to the hearing, they were surprised to hear that they already cleared it themselves, and they say I'm not in compliance. And they cleared it only 5 weeks before.
So you can, if there's any new information you want to try to bring with you next Wednesday, but we're going to go ahead and uphold the recommendation for the total assessment. Move this on to the full city council for next Wednesday.
I just want you guys to pay attention to the date because it's very important the way it started. It was from 2014 to 2016. It sounds like a year and a half, but it's not. In truth, it's only 5 weeks. And if the department cleared it already,
we'll look at that.
And I have been assessed $5,000, then they assessed me second time $5,000 for the same thing.
We'll look at that as well. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
The next item is number 37. It's Thon Kim Lone Restaurant. Come on. Yes. Please come on up.
What page is this on,
37?
Well, I thought it wasn't my name, so
It's not your name?
I want to make sure that,
What's your name?
What was your name, sir?
For Kim Lon Restaurant, my name is Thanh Nguyen.
Thanh Nguyen, yes, it says.
Oh, okay.
Kim Lone Restaurant.
Yes.
Yes.
Can I speak now?
Yes, okay.
Okay, today I bring the evidence, new evidence against the case, against the proposal of the appeal officer in the brush clearing unit. The first thing I want to share with you, I have the copy of the invoice for the contractor who cleaned the property. And I would like to show this to you. Already paid $1,200, and the city billed me again for $1,200. It's not necessary. So I would like to submit this invoice. How many copies do you need? I'll have 7 copies. If you'd like to see all of them.
Sure, you can submit them all. That's fine.
Okay.
That's okay.
Got 7 copies with my other evidence that I wrote to the contractor.
Who is TNH?
TNH agent is my business name, sir.
So you submitted a check to TNH agents to the fire department showing.
Yes, and now that is the new evidence that's against the proposal again. When I submit that $50 in one envelope certified mail to the brush clearance in city of Los Angeles, but somehow the mail was rerouted to the Internal Revenue Service. And that happened, that caused me trouble when the city didn't receive that mail, but the IRS sent me back that check with the copy of the thing that, an copy of the envelope sent from the IRS. I have a copy of that here. City of Los Angeles committed fraud, mail fraud, that's subjected to federal and state law. And now I'm a U.S. citizen, and I know my constitution right to inform you.
That's why you're here.
I have evidence to convince you.
I see it all. Did you get a chance to review these?
Yes, sir. I actually sat in on the appeal of this property and...
Walk me through it.
I'm sorry?
Walk me through it.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead and walk us through it, please.
The defendants offered no evidence at the appeal saying that they went to Vietnam, they lost their camera, they had a check made out but didn't say who the check was made out to or what reason it was made out for. And the pictures submitted by the fire department clearly showed that his property had no work done when the fire department arrived and was a substantial hazard that existed on the property.
And the fire department actually contracted out and provided all the work as well?
Yes, sir. Okay. And at a very reasonable $1,200 for the size of his property.
Yeah. I oppose what he already told you.
Okay. Okay.
The contractor has 4 people already cleaned up the unit.
Yeah.
The City of Los Angeles brush clearance only recreated picture. They actually didn't do a lot of work like what I already done at the first time. I was there, and the appeal officer wasn't there. So her proposal is totally incorrect. I cannot be oppressed. This is a city, this is a country of freedom.
Yes, I thank you for that. So based on that, okay, sir, thank you very much. You can have a seat back in the office.
And I would like to bring this. This is my evidence that were not, that
we have
almost destroyed. Almost, this is important, sir.
Okay.
I got 7 of them.
Okay. That's what is this you're submitting now?
Yes. This is ridiculous. It never happened. I've been living in this country over 30 years. This is the first time happened.
What is this you're submitting? What is this?
Yeah, that evidence sent to City of Los Angeles brush clearance unit, and they hid that. They rerouted to the IRS. So I couldn't appeal my thing. I couldn't talk to the appeal officer. And the appeal officer thought I didn't send the check because then the check sent back to me from the IRS. That's terrible.
So you sent the check to the IRS for some reason, on accident?
No, I sent check to City of Los Angeles. I paid $50, but then the City of Los Angeles rerouted. They sent the whole envelope to the IRS. They intended to cheat me. So the IRS knew, and they sent it back to me. They sent it back to me with the copy of the envelope there, and with the copy of that, they cannot accept that payment because that doesn't mean anything. It's supposed to be to City of Los Angeles, but City of Los Angeles somehow, somebody there, I cannot tell.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we understand. So this is what I'm going to ask. Okay, thank you, sir. You can have a seat back in the...
Okay, that's all I need to say.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and with this, I haven't seen any... I'd like somebody in the fire department to come to me separately and explain how. No, sir. We heard your time. No, I'm sorry. Thank you. No, sir. We're going to ask you to leave if you're going to disrupt the meeting. We gave you more than plenty of time. So, but thank you very much. Please have a seat back in the audience. Thank you. So we're going to ask. We're going to go ahead and ask if you could get back to my office as soon as possible and find out how his check he's alleging was forwarded from the city to the IRS. I'm not quite sure that we've ever done anything close to. I mean, it's not making any sense. Maybe providing additional information, same check numbers. I mean, I'm not seeing any of that. So whatever information the department has on file, I'd like to see on his file. In the meantime, that's still not. It appears that he has contracted for some of the work, but it wasn't completed sufficiently, so the fire department went out and had to do it as well. So with that, we'll go ahead and hold up the assessment and send it on to the full city council on Wednesday. But we're going to ask the department to share any additional information they may have so we can look into further these allegations. Yeah, it was only $50, but I'd still like to know where that came from. So, okay. We'll see if we can figure that out. Okay.
The $50 was probably the payment he was trying to make for his written appeal.
Right.
And I don't know how that got,
yeah.
He must have addressed it wrong because it would have gone
Maybe.
to.
So we'll go ahead and look into that as well. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. So we'll go ahead and move this on to the council.
And Mr. Chair?
Okay. The next item is Suzanne Zeta, number 45, please.
And Mr. Chair, for clarification on the last item, are we going to move that forward with
Yes.
no recommendation?
Yes. Good morning. Yes, good morning.
Yeah, my name is Suzanne Zada, and I was hoping that my husband could come because he's a much better speaker than I am. I'm the bad one in the family. But he was much too ill this morning. I brought some pictures. Councilman Englander said that we should only talk about what is new. Well, I brought some pictures that is new. I didn't realize that you needed pictures, and once we went to the hearing, I realized the shortcomings, and I started to look. You know, it's a little bit hard on me to be here and complain about the fire department because we love them and we respect them and we need them. And I don't like to be in cross disagreement with them, obviously. But what is very important here, if I may point out, that year in the valleys where we have the property, there was a huge fire, and I'm sure that you remember, and it practically denuded, just flattened out everything that there was to flatten out. And so even the people that we sent out to clear, they said there is nothing to clear, and all they wanted us was $300 to kind of finish it up. So there was very little to clear. So you can imagine our shock when we received this bill. I had practically a heart attack. And I also wanted to point out that this year, this is also a new evidence, is this year where the growth is so lush and everything is so very green, we sent out the BC Tree Company, and they only charged us $2,000. So what the people who the fire department hired obviously went a little bit overboard.
Thank you. I'm just going to, this one's really simple. The fire department, do you have any the before, during, and after photos?
We did not bring this file, sir.
But you do have them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I will want to see these for sure. And this is.
I have pictures here if it does make
I have those as well.
And I apologize, I didn't have 7 copies because.
That's fine. We have those.
Oh, you
so,
have one?
Yeah, I have those. So I'm going to ask the fire department to submit their photos. I want to take a look. The fire department will bring their photos to council on Wednesday, and we'll go ahead and move this forward as recommended by the department with the total assessment. On Wednesday, we'll take a look at the photos. This is a high fire severity zone. It's a big lot, and it's surrounded by a very dense residential community.
I'm hard of hearing, so I can't.
So Wednesday, if you want to come on Wednesday, we're going to look at the fire department photos at council on Wednesday on this particular item. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and move it forward.
Was reduced by
What's
Yeah,
happening?
more than $500.
Yeah, the assessment was already reduced.
To the hardship.
Yeah, total amount due is only 4,000 instead of the 10,000, so it's,
You owed 10,490, now it's only 4,000.
that's right.
That was the
It
recommendation.
sounds like only, but you
Well-
know what a shock that.
But that's a considerable,
It's very,
Excuse me?
that's a considerable reduction.
I totally agree, absolutely. But when you don't expect to get anything, that particular year, there was just nothing to
Right.
clear because of the fire, cleared everything up for us.
so we're going to go ahead and move this on to the full city council, and we're going to, per the recommendation of the fire department and their reduction to you, but we're going to ask them to also provide the photos at council. So next Wednesday, it's up to you if you want to come back. We're going to rehear this item in council on Wednesday with the photos, okay?
I've tried, but you
I've got to get through 3 more, but I wanted to make sure that you guys certainly got your time, and we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, got 2 more. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I still don't know.
And for those council members that need to, you need to take off.
Say that again?
Okay, next item, Esther.
There's another hearing.
Esther? Good morning. I didn't have your property address, ma'am.
2036. You have it on the top of the letters.
Page
Okay.
70, Councilman.
Oh, number 70, got it. Okay.
You have my.
San Ysidro.
You have my package.
I've got it,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wasn't on the card. Okay, I got it. Page 70. Please, thank you.
Are we looking at the package that I sent, like 7 copies, or we're
Yes,
looking
yes, yes, we have it
yeah,
all.
that one, yeah, okay.
Yes.
All right. First off, I'm a tenant and I'm not an owner. I just rent the place out, and since the day one that I rented the place, I said, the owner wanted it that way, that I take care of everything myself, and he's not involved in any kind of problem that comes, within the house. My problem is that I've already paid the $356 for non-compliance, and then paid out of pocket $1,000 for the gardeners, the same amount of time that, around the same timings as they were fining me. And to be honest with you, my problem was with the Inspector Sesma, and I shared that with a lot of my neighbors, and people were very, very unhappy with the way he was conducting everything. One day he was in a good mood. Yeah, you're fine, you're fine. One day he's not in a good mood. And we were going back and forth with the telephone with each other because I'm not good with computers and letter writing and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, my health is not in a good condition. I'm financially, having a lot of problems. I mean, I work for an elderly person. I take care of her. I'm a EIU member. I'm an in-home supportive service. And this kind of fine is just outrageous for me. And I think it's very, very unfair. And I already paid the $1,000 out of my pocket to be able to, work with Inspector Sesma. All he would do would be angry with me and put the phone down on me, and he was behaving unbelievably. And he's no longer with the fire department. I don't know why, what happened, what went wrong with the fire department. He's not even there to defend himself. But I'm in a very, very bad stage of my life, and I need help. Whatever you guys can suggest, I would appreciate it.
Okay. Well, first, I'm sorry for everything you're having to go through. And looking at the records and the documentation and your health and that of your husband, it's very difficult. So our sympathy goes with you on that. In terms of the brush clearance, though, as I stated when we opened the committee meeting up,
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
in terms of the brush clearance, as I stated when we first opened the committee meeting, this is critically important that people do it correctly and timely.
I have done it. I paid the $1,000 out of my pocket. It's hard for me to do that.
Yeah, and I see the handwritten receipts.
The invoices are all there.
I see those. Do you have any canceled checks to go with those?
Sample checks?
Canceled. The checks showing the invoices were paid? No? Because they don't mark paid. They're just a receipt.
I can bring you those.
You didn't have those.
I mean,
Did you receive the copies of these invoices? They're to the fire department now. You've received the copies of these invoices. They're actually in the book as well, stated that you did look at them.
Yes, sir.
Can you walk us through the fact that they've got invoices showing that on 3 different days that there was work performed, but that we had to send out our own contractors as well?
Right, apparently, there was some work done on it, but it wasn't done to code, and we had to go in and finish the work. And also, it was contention on who was responsible, either the tenants or the owners. Apparently, there's some kind of lease agreement between the tenant and the owner, and there was a disagreement who was responsible, and the hearing officer relayed that it was the owner's responsibility ultimately.
Okay. So they do show they did a significant amount of work. They did show they did a significant amount of work on 3 different occasions. It looks like they had to keep calling the same contractor back to do more work. $400, then another $150, and a third time another $400. And these were all within a short period of time. And so not quite sure how much more work we actually had to do and what the differences were. When did our contractor go out there to do the work? Do you know what date it was?
Compliance, it looks like November 21st.
November 21st.
I'm sorry, February 5th. The work order was prepared on November 21st, and the property was subsequently contracted to a city contractor, and work was completed on February 5th of 2016.
I see. Okay. So, and they had the contractor come out, all 3 dates were after they received the 21st notice. So they came out on 11/22, then again in December on December 12th, and then again on December 19th.
Correct.
Then after December 19th, did we go out and look at it again?
Yes.
Because it looks like the work order was actually submitted on November 22nd. So did we just show up on February 5th to do the work?
No, they made the work order in November, and then we probably didn't award it because of the Thanksgiving holiday.
Sure.
And we didn't award it until December, and then
They came out in February.
didn't get to it until February.
Okay, sounds like the gap in time, though,
Right.
between November and February, they had the crew come out 3 times.
Right.
So,
And the fire department
so,
only charged us $780, and
so-
apparently there was some tree work that was needed to be done.
right. So my recommendation, colleagues, would be to forward the cost of the clearance for the actual out-of-pocket cost for the contractor and waive the administrative fee, because they did have 3 times on 3 occasions after no notification have somebody out and clear the lot. So I think it would be more than fair and reasonable. So we'll go ahead and waive the $990 administrative fee and approve, though, the cost of the clearance, because we still have to send our contractors out to complete whatever your contractor didn't do correctly. And that's still an out-of-pocket cost to us. So, okay? So that'll be the order of this committee at $780. Okay, great, thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
We listened. You had good evidence, and that was new evidence that was presented, so I appreciate that. Joseph, the last one, Joseph Sadi? And that's,
Again, Councilman, this is a written appeal.
okay, this is a second assessment?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's a second inspection. It's not actually the cost for any work. So I don't know if you heard the first one if you were in the room, sir, but we don't have an appeal process for that. So your appeal process, we have an appeal process. It was obviously already denied, but if you have something else you wanted to share. Can you start his clock, please?
The lot was cleaned already, and after 20 days, the inspector came. He see my neighbor's one, so he thought my lot also. So he gave maybe both. I don't know what happened. I need pictures from the inspector who cleaned the lot, because I just found it right now. Otherwise, I will make picture for everybody. When I was over there, I was looking at my cell phone. It's on September 9. And September 29, there's second inspection. And also they charged me. So please reconsider that.
Well, as I stated with the previous one,
Maybe by mistake, computer mistake could be, or maybe...
well, again, this was only a second assessment. Is that correct?
I want to mention something.
It was an assessment?
Re-inspection fee.
A re-inspection. This is the re-inspection fee, sir, where they had to go out and re-inspect. It's not before us. It's not in. You're not in this book. So-
2 years ago, they charged me $5,000
Right.
on one of the property, and I paid the $7,000.
Oh.
So please, this one, reconsider that, because it's a very small amount.
Right.
I know the city needs some money, but this one is unfair, totally unfair.
Okay.
And I have the picture in here, I have the date. I just discovered it right now.
So we can discuss it out in the hall afterwards, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Okay, so that concludes, we don't have a vote on yours. That concludes all the items for item 2. All the other items for item 2 we'll go ahead and approve as well. And so all the actions were taken to send everything to council on Wednesday. I think there was one modification, and that was it. And with that, that concludes the agenda. We have no other cards. Item 3. I'm sorry. Item 3.
And Mr. Chair, we also have item number 9 that you wanted them to come back on.
Item 9, we'll go ahead and approve and send it to council.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Item 3. Yes. I'll turn it over to Mr. O'Farrell.
This will be really quick, Mr. Chair. Thank you. I recommend that we hold this item 3, in committee with an instruction for the CAO's office to provide a written report that delineates the details of the cost recovery agreement between the City and Los Angeles Rams organization for all city services, including LAPD, LAFD, LADOT, sanitation, etc., provided for LA Rams home games at the Coliseum, and include future years. Please include answering this question: does this agreement account for the next 2 seasons? And that is item 3. And I jumped a gun and didn't even give Mr. Espinosa a chance to read it.
That's fine. We don't have to. It is agendized correctly. So
we're good.
Okay.
All right.
Those recommendations will be approved to stay in this committee and report back.
Terrific.
Those
Thank you.
report backs will be requested, and we'll get it to you in writing. Correct? Yes.
In writing, CAO's
Okay.
report.
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay. Then that is the action of this committee. There is no other items before this committee, and we are adjourned.